Truly outrageous. Okay, so I just saw Happy Console Gamer's review slash rant of the Gem and the Holograms movie trailer, and I was it's not like I'm gonna disagree with like, oh, you know what, Johnny Millennium, that trailer was secretly good. Like, no, the trailer was bad. The trailer is essentially the whole movie. If you see the trailer, that'll tell you exactly the whole. That's what the whole movie is. You watch the trailer, you don't even have to see the movie after that. Not that you'd want to, but I mean, you'd have less of a reason. It looks like a Disney Channel like made for TV movie. Not inspiring a lot of confidence in most fans and stuff. Not too confident about it, which is a little too bad because when I heard there was going to be a Gem movie, it seemed like that was coming out of nowhere. It's like, really, why? Like, the cartoon was so long ago. Isn't this a little late to be cashing in? You know? Like, there's a He-Man Masters of the Universe live action movie that's half terrible, but so terrible that you feel compelled to watch. Uh, but that came out like a long time ago when maybe it could have stood a chance. Gem was this old cartoon from the 80s, and it's about as 80s as you can fucking get. Short of, I don't know, doing a line of cocaine off your bright neon green rimmed ginormous sunglasses. Gem is about as 80s as it fucking gets. And it came out at a time where all the other cartoons, stuff like Transformers and whatever, and Transformers, where it's like they're aliens, but they just so happen to look like vehicles from Earth. That's kind of an out there fucking concept. So I don't think Gem's concept of, hey, there's this girl and her dad left her a bunch of musical instruments and like the world's ugliest looking fucking Rolls Royce or whatever, and also this Age of Ultron, AI that's capable of creating holograms through her fucking earrings and can turn her and her friends into the big rock stars that they are struggling to be, is weirder of a concept. So all those things in the 80s, you just sort of accepted all that stuff, like Silverhawks or whatever. It was just like, yeah, it was just par for the course. And you can look at that stuff now and it's kind of laughable, but everything was sort of like that back then. Gem came out at that time, and she lasted for about 3 seasons, like 65 episodes, and they sell the whole thing in a box set, which you can get, or you can watch it on Netflix. I'm pretty sure the whole thing is on Netflix. It is kind of a love it or hate it thing. Um, Either she immediately rubs you the wrong way, or it's just so fucking 80s that you just can't help but like it. Maybe it falls into that so bad it's good category, of things like that one 80s movie where that guy drinks some weird prune juice and it gives him telepathic abilities or like telekinesis and he lifts up girls' skirts. If there was any reason to join a science club, it's to gain, Professor X mind powers to further your perversion. If you were to get into Gem, I feel like at the time you would have had to have probably A, been a girl, and then B, been a certain age where you couldn't be too young or too old. You had to be like just right, because if you were too young, then you were too young to be at that point where you would like idolize rock stars. And then if you were too old, there's that stigma of like, oh, like you still watch cartoons. Like nowadays, that stuff is maybe not so prevalent. Where it's like, you still play video games, dude? It's like, yeah, like everybody plays video games. But when I was growing up, that was something that I would face all the time. Like, you still buy toys? And it's like, yes, because I'm fucking 12. So, once you start getting to be a little too old, you gotta be really cool. And you gotta give up all your nerdy stuff. And it's just like, aren't you a little too old to be reading comics? watching cartoons, and that was much more of a stigma in the '80s than it is nowadays. So I feel like it didn't have the same range that maybe something like Thundercats, like that could be enjoyed from ages 3 to 11 or something. You could be like any age. If you were a boy, you would just be into Thundercats. Um, Gem, not so much, not so lucky. Unlike My Little Pony, which Hasbro got very lucky that for whatever reason that show got adopted by lots of like 20-year-old guys who really champion that show. Um, I don't think Gem is gonna get as lucky. And maybe if you like the music, there's a lot of songs. It's like 3 seasons, and so you think, okay, if they came up with like one song an episode, that's like 65 songs. That's still a lot of songs. I think there's even more than that. There might be like 100 songs by now, just Gem songs, and maybe some of them are okay, like the opening theme. I don't know. Some other songs are, but I think it's like that with a lot of kind of musical stuff, like Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock had like a song an episode and then some. There's like 2 songs an episode. There's a lot of songs for Fraggle Rock. Not all of them are good. In fact, fuck every song ever sung by Wembley. But sometimes it turns out okay, and sometimes maybe not so much. But I guess if you really got into the music, then maybe when you hear those songs, you're just like, oh yeah, freaking Gem. I think it's too bad because Gem could be kind of sci-fi with the whole AI and holograms, and you could have like some really cool special effects, and it could be really music focused. And if you're like a Macross fan, there's a lot of music in Macross. Macross is like this big old space opera, and Jim could sort of have that going on, and that could have been cool. I don't think that's not what's gonna happen. It's too bad that the movie's not going to turn out very good because when I first heard of it, I was kind of excited and I was kind of hoping, secretly, that it would be some kind of validation or something like that. Because when I tell people about Gem and then they watch, it's like, you like this thing? And it's kind of just like some sort of guilty pleasure thing where it's just like, yes. Where it's just like, sometimes you're just talking and then you just casually mention that you're watching episodes of like She-Ra, and then other people find out what that is, and it's like, why the fuck do you watch this? I guess I was just kind of hoping that the Gem movie would be some sort of vindication, like because it could take out all of the kind of lame stuff from the cartoon and then boil it all down to an hour and 40 minutes of like, here's just the cool stuff. There's just the cool like concept of like this sci-fi tech rock star. I don't know. When you stretch Gem out over like 65 episodes and like tons of songs, it's like some of these episodes are really dumb, and some of this old '80s cartoon voice work, and just lots of little things could be done. But I mean, for a movie, you could cut out all the filler, but it doesn't look like the movie's gonna do that, and it's too bad. And it's just like, well, why is that? Is it that there's not enough money? Maybe with more money you could get a better director, a better writer, better actors. Who knows what you could buy with more money. But I think it's more that it's Hasbro. I'm pretty sure Hasbro that owns the rights to Gem and all that stuff. And as a toy company primarily, they probably didn't give a shit what the movie really was. I would imagine they probably didn't even read it. They probably like, here's that script you wanted for the Gem movie, and they probably like thumbed it and they're like, yeah, all right, well, get to work on it or whatever. I don't think that there was any consideration to to people like me or people like Happy Console Gamer. Maybe someone might have brought that up, like, the script doesn't seem like it's that faithful to the original show. What about all the old fans? And then Hasbro probably took like 5 seconds to think like, I don't think those old fans were gonna go out and buy the dolls and toys and all the merchandise and shit that we were gonna put. So fuck them. Uh, that seems more likely to me that that's why the movie is what it is. It's just the bare minimum of like, this works as a movie and it has things it needs at least to maybe get young girls to like it. They might buy the Barbie doll. They might buy some clothes that say Gem, and that'll be good enough. But I don't know that's gonna work out. But something that is working out for me is this, which is this is just issue number 1 of the Gem comic book, and this hardcover box. It's just all the covers because there are different covers by different artists, and so I want this. This was all I wanted, and I just couldn't find this by itself. And then I thought that this looked nice, so I got this box. And so this is a comic, and if you can see the art, it's really nice looking. And I like the comic. It's made on kind of like a thicker material, like a thicker paper. And basically, issue 1 is basically episode 1 of Gem, if you've ever watched Gem. And yeah, so it's got like some fairly nice art and color. A lot of glare here. So you can see, it ain't half bad. And I enjoyed this first issue. Everything else, it's just the other characters done by a different artist. I don't particularly like these covers. This is like those old Lisa Frank art stickers. I thought it was good. Like if I had never heard of Gem, I didn't know what it was as a cartoon or whatever, and I would have picked that up and I would have read it. I would have thought like, hey, this is kind of a cool idea, for a comic, and I would have been into it. If you watch the show and it just rubs you the wrong way, but you think the idea of Gem is cool, like some sort of sci-fi rock star, and you enjoy just the 80s glam of it, then I would say read the comics. The comics definitely more tolerable than whatever that movie turns out to be. That's for sure.